In this DBT quick tips video, we're going to be discussing the distress tolerance skill of willingness. Willingness is key in trying to marshal some level of motivation. Whatever's in front of you, obviously you don't want to have happening. You wish things were different. It makes you furious that things are the way they are. But getting back to DBT assumptions, everything has causes. We can't fight reality. Whatever is. And willingness, being able to master this skill, enables us to be able to willingly accept reality for what it is. Willingness is doing what's needed given the reality in front of you. And that reality can't be chosen by you, but how you proceed can. It's fully, wholeheartedly marshaling every part of your being to push forward as opposed to dragging your feet. Two pieces here are essential to be able to organizing yourself in order to be willing to meet reality as it is. The first is listening to wise mind. You have to go back to that DBT skill, and you can check that out in a previous video. What is the best version of you? Trying to bring that to mind and asking that best version of you, what is the right thing to do that you, at the end of the day, will not just keep your dignity, but admire yourself for doing. The next is acting with awareness. For some, this can be a broader sense of being connected to the universe. For others, it can be more concrete. Your feet are on the ground. Whatever level touches you, that's the level that you have to tap into so that your feet can be planted firmly on the ground and that you can be in line with the way the universe is. And another way of thinking about willingness is, what is its opposite? Getting an understanding, getting a sense of what willfulness is, can help better direct you in the right path towards an effective and meaningful life. What's willfulness? Willfulness is refusing to tolerate the moment. It's anti-reality. Willfulness is refusing to make the changes that you need to answer that reality as it's in front of you. Willfulness is also a type of giving up. It's giving up on what's really going on in favor of a fantasy of what you wish things could be. Willfulness, practically speaking, is the exact opposite of doing what works. Instead, it's doing what you want and to hell with the consequences. Willfulness has a little bit of arrogance to it in the sense that willfulness is an attempt to try and fix every situation. You just can't. You have to know your limits, what you can do and what you can't do, and what you ought not to do. In line with that sort of, again, I know it's an ugly word, arrogance, willfulness is insisting on being in control. Not everything is in your hands. And you know what? If it was, it would be so overwhelming. Thank God everything is not in your control. Because who could take on that level of responsibility? And I really am putting an asterisk here on what I mean by this arrogance. At first blush, it feels like it's good. It feels responsible. It feels like you're taking the position of what is most right and true. But you can't do all of that. Just practically. Getting back to ABCs of reality, you're just one human being, and you can only really do whatever you can do in your own lane, and that's it. So there's a humility here. A humility that, as funny enough, stands against this idea of being able to do the right thing, whatever that is. And no, don't get me wrong, you should do the right thing, but maybe you can't do the right thing, quote unquote. Maybe you shouldn't. Willfulness at the end of the day is limiting your perspective to you and only you. Me. What I want right now. And your life is bigger than that. Your life is so much more than you as you are today. You have to be able to have some sort of compassion for your past and all the versions of you that are possible in the future. That's what you're fighting for. A better you in the future. So there are 5 steps to willingness. Step 1 is getting back to mindfulness. You got to observe. Observe this willfulness that is pushing you off the ledge towards behavior that's going to absolutely hurt you in the future. You got to label it, and you have to sit with it for a moment. You got to experience it. Step 2 is a skill we've previously talked about in another video, radical acceptance. That you have to radically accept in this moment in time, you feel willful. You got to know it. You can't fight the willfulness with more willfulness. You just have to use acceptance. You can't will away willfulness. There has to be an openness, a flexibility here in order to stop being willful. Using another previous skill, turning your mind. You have to turn your mind towards that acceptance, towards that willingness. You have to sit, close your eyes, imagine that you're going to take the right path instead of the left path, the good path as opposed to the bad path. We're going to talk about in the next video some physical things you can do to try and change your biology, and one of those things is half smiling, taking a willingness posture. This is really the concept of opposite action that we've talked about before. What do you not want to do when you're ready to fight? Smile. What do you not want to do when you're ready to fight? Open arms. Be willing to receive what is being given to you. And finally, step 5. When willfulness is immovable, maybe these skills, steps 1 through 4 are really not pushing. It's time to get real. Gotta ask yourself, hey man, what's the real threat? What is the big deal? Is this going to be something that you're going to be thinking about a year from now, 5 years from now, on your deathbed? Is this going to be the moment in your life that you are going to be holding tight to, that it should have been, they oughta? Chances are it's not that big a deal.